I'm not a big gamer. I've never played Minecraft or Fortnite or even the Duck Dynasty PS4 game. You know, the classics. And before you say that last one isn't a real thing, yeah, it is. I have one, okay, and it's factory sealed, and that's why I haven't played it, okay, because this might be worth something someday. But I like playing video games when I actually play them, which isn't super often. But a couple Saturdays ago, I played video games pretty much all day, and that should have been fun. It was fun, and because it was fun and should have been fun, I don't know why I felt so bad afterwards. I didn't do anything wrong. I felt like Anakin Skywalker in Revenge of the Sith when he falls back and says, "What have I done?" He knows what he did. He killed Samuel L. Jackson. But me? I would never kill Master Windu. I would never turn to the dark side. But even though I will never turn to the dark side, I did feel guilty about playing PlayStation. And so I instinctively went through a checklist of possible reasons why anyone would feel guilty about playing video games to see, why do I feel so bad? And at the top of that list was laziness. And more specifically, was I being irresponsible? No. My calendar, my schedule, my secretary, they didn't have anything for me to do that day. No responsibilities were neglected by the making of me playing video games. But what about sloth? Sloth is a big deal. It's one of the 7 deadly sins. Now, sloth does not mean chillin' or taking a nap or just being mellow. No. Sloth is a type of death. It has to do with neglecting to participate in life. It's refusing to do anything meaningful or beautiful. And hey, taking a nap or chillin', those can be beautiful things, absolutely. But regardless of that, when I play video games, I don't do it to disengage. Rather, I do it because I specifically want to engage. The 4 reasons why I play video games are to relax, to entertain, to challenge, and to connect me with others. Now, I don't always get all 4 of those in every single video game, especially because I will play Bloodborne and Spyro the Dragon. There is a bit of a difference as far as the relaxing or challenging components to those games, but both of those games connect me with others. I am engaging in life. I'm being diligent, which is one of the 7 heavenly virtues. I'm doing that in order to combat sloth. So I don't think it's sloth that's tripping me up. It's got to be something else. So maybe instead it was the hustle culture that I'm a part of. Maybe it was the American corporatism Protestant work ethic that says hashtag no days off, or hashtag you should be productive, or hashtag humble brag on LinkedIn. Now, while I don't humble brag on LinkedIn, I do fall into the other traps. I will typically feel as if there's something that I need to be doing, and that's not always the case. In fact, most often that's not the case, but it doesn't mean that I don't feel that way, at least. And so, was this a specific moment where I felt like I needed to be doing something, even though I had already checked off that I didn't have any responsibilities that day? No. I specifically set this day aside because I wanted to relax. I was gonna put video games in that day. So it wasn't my hustle culture, American corporatism, Protestant work ethic. Speaking of cultures, could it be that I'm in a culture that has a bias against video games, but instead will romanticize things like vegetables or walking or reading? Okay, those things are good, but I do think that video games can provide some good. I listed 4 of the reasons why I play video games, and so I don't think that there's so much of that because I'm so purposeful as to why I play video games. I don't think that there are many convincing arguments for me as to why I shouldn't be playing video games because of how strategic and meaningful I pursue this recreational act. I know a lot of people don't. think about these kinds of things, but I'm sure in the past that there has been some sense of anti-video game bias, so that's why I probably think about these things. But I do. And I don't think that I felt bad because of an anti-video game bias. So maybe it wasn't laziness. Maybe I was being immoral. But that wasn't the case. I wasn't playing some morally dubious or complicated game. I wasn't being violent against non-playable characters. I wasn't in an Xbox Live online group chat. No. I was playing Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. All right? And yes, that's why I was thinking about Anakin and Mace Windu and feeling guilty. But I was a hero, okay? Like, I was the good guy. Like, when people reflect on themselves and they think, am I a good Yeah, me. I was a Jedi. Good guy. So, not immoral. But maybe I felt guilty because of loneliness. Jedi Fallen Order is a single-player experience. It's for one guy or gal, and that's it. Someone else could watch you play, but they can't play themselves. And worse yet, this is an old game. It came out years ago, way back in 2019, which is a really long time for video games, especially because every single one of my friends who will probably ever play that game played it in 2019 or 2020. Missed the hype train. So it could be possible that I felt lonely in the sense that, I don't get to engage with other people about this experience. But that's not true. I texted other friends, and I know there are going to be sequels. Has to be. And so when all of my friends get excited about the sequels to Jedi Fallen Order 2 or Jedi New Order, New Fallen, or I don't know what the titles are going to be, I will be able to get a first class ticket aboard the hype train. So I will be able to join all of my buddies. I am confident of that. And it wasn't because I was lonely that I felt guilty about playing this game. So when I reflected on why I felt guilty, I knew it definitely wasn't because of laziness, it wasn't because of immorality, and it wasn't because of loneliness. But I knew it was something, and I just couldn't put my finger on it. Yes, I completed all of the duties that I had. Yes, I wanted to play as a hero. And yes, I chose to play this single-player experience. I chose to play this game. But I didn't choose when I stopped playing this game. My body did, when I was too tired and falling asleep. After hours and hours of playing this game, I only stopped when I was too tired to continue. Now, this isn't an example of gluttony. It's not because there was just so much time spent on it. It isn't about the quantity of time. It's definitely about the quality of time. Because I gave up some of my rational faculties to play this game. Well, you know what? I'm going to take it one step farther. I don't think it was just that. I gave up my rational faculties to this game. And that, I think, is the problem. Now, losing track of time can be a great thing. I love getting swept up into a good conversation with someone, and you look at your watch afterwards and you go, wow, where did the time go? You get connection, you get emotional stimulation, you get intellectual excitement. You're participating in something that's greater. It's bigger than just yourself. And honestly, that's the whole point of the Force. If I can talk about Star Wars one more time, you don't just empty yourself, you participate in something that's bigger. You allow the Force to flow through you. And flow is a really important word because flow is a mental state where you are so fully involved in a specific thing that other parts of your brain actually begin to shut down, and this causes and results in a warping of one's sense of time. Now, there's a difference between actively participating in flow, which is directing you towards something bigger than yourself, or passively receiving in flow, which is more like a flood that carries you down towards something lesser. Now, I don't experience flow when I'm reading a book. I never think, oh my goodness, I cannot believe that I just, unbeknownst to my own rational faculties, spent 7 hours longer in this than I had anticipated. Mostly because no one talks like that, but as an example, I am never surprised by how much time I read. I mean, maybe, but usually I look at the clock and think, yeah, that's about right. And even when I'm watching TV, every single episode will end, and Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, or even just regular cable will give me some cues as to whether or not I'm gonna continue. Netflix will ask me, are you still watching? Or next episode's going to begin in 30 seconds. Do you want to change it? It's giving me the ability to make decisions periodically, either every 22 minutes or 45 minutes. They give me the options. I didn't experience that when I was playing a video game. And now, you may not have experienced this feeling, this sensation with Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. If you have, man, you and I, we have a lot in common. But I'm sure you've experienced it with something. That may be TikTok or Instagram or any other socials or something else where you're not actively participating in something pointing you towards something greater. Instead, you're passively receiving, which is directing you towards something lesser. And then you look at your clock and you go, oh dang, where did the time go? Now, flow isn't bad. Flow's good. I want to be in flow more often. But it can be bad, specifically when you are not actively participating in something that's directing you towards something greater, and instead you are passively receiving, directing you towards something lesser. The problem with my specific experience is that I didn't choose. So the next Saturday that I play video games, I'm going to make a conscious choice of how long I'm going to play. In fact, I'm going to set a timer to go off at a specific time, and at that time, I will make the assessment. Do I want to continue, or do I not want to continue? And if I want to continue, for how long? When is the next timer going to go off? Not because I want to not enjoy the experience and this is such a chore. This has nothing to do with the video game itself. This has everything to do with my own mind and how it is that I'm living my life. And I want to make that very clear. Because this isn't about laziness. This isn't about immorality or even loneliness. This is about me wanting to be purposeful and still enjoy life. I'm still gonna play. I'm still going to do things. But I want to be the one that's deciding them. And so next time I'm doing that, I'm going to actively participate in the video game so that I can be directed towards something that's greater instead of passively receiving and being directed towards something lesser. And I hope that this isn't too niche or pretentious, but instead I hope that this idea is really helpful for you in thinking about what is it that you want to choose to do to live a more purposeful and meaningful life. And hey, maybe you feel guilty, honestly, because of some of the other things. You feel guilty because you're lazy or immoral, maybe, or lonely. And those are big too. And I don't mean to diminish those, but rather I think that they lead up to how is it that we are going to choose to live our lives. So I want to leave you with that. I love you. Peace. God bless. I hope that you play video games, that you don't feel bad about them, that you can confidently and correctly say, this is a good thing that I choose to do. I'll see you guys.